now? Hello.
Hey, sorry.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
How are you, buddy? How you feeling?
I have been better.
Yeah.
But I have also been worse, like yesterday when I was worse.
That's I am sorry and glad. In equal measure.
But yeah, I had the old fever yesterday. I think it wiped out the bacteria, so now I'm just in the aftermath.
Well, that's good. You'll have a great weekend, I'm sure.
I'm hoping to.
Yeah.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi. I'm over here.
Cool. So I think we'd like to use today just sort of your time while we're here and talk about a couple different brand options that Chelsea's explored over the past week. We put together sort of a couple different variations for you to take a look at. Our goal here is just to facilitate conversation. I know we didn't really talk too much about what the brand sort of wants to be in your mind last week, so we just want to sort of get some more clarity using these as a platform to jump off. Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm going to figure out how to share my screen.
I think it's one of those buttons on the left, the green one with the arrow.
Yes.
I saw you in a Kickstarter video today, Cameron.
Did it have anything to do with Eastern European cuisine?
It certainly did, yes.
Yeah, those are some good friends of mine. I didn't know I was in that video. They didn't license my image, but I like it. Cool. You should be able to see a PDF.
Yep, got it.
All right. Can you still hear us okay?
Mm-hmm.
People are vigorously co-working behind us.
All right, so what you're looking at here, Tim, is some, well, hold on. His computer is different than mine. Just some comps of research that I did. You know, based off of our conversation last week, I got the vibe that you wanted the City as a Campus mark to just be something very simple, bold, recognizable. So these were some comps I pulled that I like the style of. I'm open to your feedback on any of them, ones that stand out that you like, ones that you don't like.
Yeah, I like these, especially the more simple ones. I think I like the bottom right one the best, maybe.
Number 6.
I can't see the entire PDF, so yeah, number 6.
Yeah.
There is a good comp that's in a similar genre to the work that we're doing. If you go to badgealliance.org
Okay.
And take a look at their logo, it's kind of similar actually to some of the stuff you pulled up. It's just like a hex with sort of networky stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works really well as a mono mark. They use it on some of their subpages by itself without the words.
Cool.
Like on the About Us page, they use it in their line breaks, which I thought was kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I see it.
But it looks like what you pulled up is very similar to that, which I like. I don't love as much numbers. I don't know, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 all kind of have this bubbly kind of look happening, which I don't love. I think I love the cleaner lines, kind of like in the Badge Alliance one and in number 6 a little bit more.
Okay.
So yeah, but in general I like these, especially if it kind of moves away from the cartoony look a little bit to something a little bit cleaner, straighter edges, more technical, I guess.
Okay. All right, then let's just dive into the first option we pulled. Kind of reflects all of the elements that we discussed last week. Just bold, simple, clean. This one is playing off of literally City as a Campus, but not in a really obvious way. I like the color break in the background because it does represent a campus atmosphere. And then with the bridge in the foreground, obviously bridges are recognizable in mostly cities. So, and this one scales really well. it is clean, it is bold. It would work alone, it would work with typefaces, it would work with textures, it would work with really anything you could build off of from here. And then here we laid it into the Explore page and just a web browser so you could kind of get an idea for it in context. I added the little word bubble mark on the end of it just because I feel like this is a platform to connect people through opportunities and communication and all of those things, but the mark can work also without it, just in a circle too.
Yeah. So,
bear with us for 1 sec. Somebody saved out a massive PDF. Cool, and then you just see it applied here, just sort of an extension of that into some kind of physical media where you can see it embossed. Letterhead or an envelope. You can do a really interesting thing with the idea of sort of paper texture in the background and a nice stamped, polished appearance. So happy to take your feedback now or dive into our second option there and sort of take everything as a whole.
Yeah, I like the look and feel and everything about it. I don't love the word bubble tail.
Okay.
It just feels like it's kind of narrowing the meaning in an unnecessary way. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the word bubble thing works a lot for social applications. But yeah, maybe not as much for this.
Okay.
Me personally, I like the bridge a lot, although I feel like, at least for me, part of the motivation in doing a different logo for this project was to maybe get away from the geographic specificity of the logo that we have up right now at the City as a Campus.org site, which is also a bridge.
Yeah.
Not to say that bridges are unique to Pittsburgh. Obviously, there are bridges everywhere. But I don't know. I guess the bridge thing could work. But it feels maybe too Pittsburghy. I don't know.
Okay. Sure. Great.
So let's dive into the second option, just as a counterpoint there.
Cool.
Come on, PDF.
Oh, it's
Cool.
okay. So here we also have more of the line art, tying in more of the learning opportunities with the book, and then the city kind of as the city is opening up to all these opportunities for you. And that's also what the platform does. So this one has no color, it's just line art. It can have color, it can have texture, it can have typefaces also. I just kind of wanted to get your feedback on it if you liked this direction. It was also more of an illustrative approach versus a mark that we were talking about. As you can see, the issue that we ran into here was the scalability of this, but I do like it bigger. I think it represents a nice concept.
Yeah, I don't dislike it, but I feel like it brings up too many other logos to mind, specifically other like Pittsburgh ones.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, putting the skyline of the city into a logo is a pretty common thing. And I think it especially works, again, if you're talking about one location.
Sure.
You have, like, you know, Pittsburgh skyline or whatever. And this kind of looks like the Pittsburgh skyline, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think maybe not this one. This one actually looks a lot to me like the Grow Pittsburgh logo and or the Reading is Fundamental logo, which are both local orgs. So yeah, I definitely prefer the first one to this.
Okay.
The comment about trying to get away from the geographic specificities holds for both of them, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely something we could build off of this. I didn't know that was definitely something we were working towards, but it's, like I said, definitely easy enough to do. So on our next rev, I'll take that into consideration.
Cool.
Okay, so let's talk about the bridge for just a second, because I totally get your sensitivity around Pittsburgh as city of bridges and how so many of them. It makes a ton of sense, and I understand your desire to get away from that. We're also hypersensitive to it because we live in the city of Pittsburgh, right? And so if you want to talk about the bridge as, or talk about the idea of city as a campus, or more specifically what our platform is doing, right, which is actually literally connecting sort of users and learners and lifetime learners with opportunities. The bridge is a really sort of obvious and powerful motif where it has sort of, the idea of connection and suspension within the bridge itself, and then the bridge, as sort of a connecting entity, right? And so I think again, totally get like maybe not focusing entirely on the bridge, but putting the bridge in the context of a more anonymized cityscape within this nice kind of badge framework. Like for instance, I think number 5, to go back to our initial option, right, where we don't necessarily have super strong lines, we're playing more with kind of big bands of color and setting scenes like that. There's something to be said for maybe taking an approach like that. Or alternately going a little bit more technical and breaking out of the specific badge, container, the circular container, and sort of playing with that, making sort of a more open, expressive, as you said, technical cityscape. Does that ring true?
I don't know. I guess I'd have to see what you're talking about. I'm having trouble picturing it.
Okay.
But my brain is not working very well today, so.
Totally fine. So I think in short, we have enough to go and make another quick rev. I think at this point, just to sort of accelerate the cycle, if you're comfortable with that, we'd love to begin sort of just shipping you PDFs. Not necessarily sort of as polished or as presented as this, but just things to kind of get your directional feedback throughout the week.
No, that's good. I like to be involved in the process. I have far too many opinions, so yeah, probably best to just have a dialogue as you're working.
Okay.
In terms of the aesthetic, though, I definitely like exactly where you were going with the bridge, Mark. I like how it looks. I like how the embossed version looks and all of that. I don't know if and when it'll ever be embossed anywhere, but I like the aesthetic of it a lot.
Sure.
So building from there feels really good to me. Yeah. But I think, so just to sort of go back to what the hope is for the platform, so as we develop the project,
Yeah.
the goal is, this will be a generic technology tool that learning communities anywhere could pick up and use and instantiate
Right.
within their own community. So that could be multiple different communities here in Pittsburgh. So it could be seniors looking for learning opportunities, having their own clearinghouse just for seniors, right? I'm talking to someone who is interested in using it for that purpose. It could also just be all adults in Pittsburgh, or it could just be around a specific thematic learning area. Conversely, it could be, an entirely other city, like I mentioned, what was it, Chattanooga, for some reason, as the example. So if Chattanooga wants to download our repository, set up instances of the platform in Chattanooga and use it, then awesome. So, it's important to think about this brand not being so much a learner-focused brand, but more a brand for the technologists and the decision makers who would be employing the platform, right? Because the actual, student in the city, the actual student in the learning community is not going to be interacting with the city as a campus brand in much of a significant way, I don't think, right? They'll probably see it as a monomark in the footer. To say like, hey, just so you know, this platform is brought to you by City as a Campus platform. Check it out. Here's the source code. It's possible that we could decide to implement this brand first and foremost here in Pittsburgh for one of our platforms that we actually use it with for one of the learning communities here in Pittsburgh. So like maybe here in Pittsburgh we do use the brand you come up with, since it'll probably be better than what we have for the adult learning communities. So yeah, just reconsider that first and foremost. Seems like the generic sort of thing is really important to think about the user and the person seeing the brand and needing to identify and be sold by it, being the technologist and or decision maker who wants to employ the platform to use for their learning community, not the student.
Sure.
Although potentially it has dual uses. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And again, totally agree that this is not going to be the most prominent brand in the world, but that said, there is still a virtue in sort of establishing a basic identifiable aesthetic. Again, I think WordPress is a great comp, right? Where you could be on a WordPress site and never know it's WordPress.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe even WordPress.org, you see it and you understand what that W is and what it's trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Diving into sort of the thematic significance, totally get sort of moving away from kind of a more academic or more learner campus-focused kind of motif there. I think there's still virtue. Like the bridge still holds if you're talking about disparate communities or different communities, or sort of even integrating people kind of within the same community to bring them closer together, regardless of what that community is. Yep. The idea of the bridge still holds. The other thing that might be interesting to explore is the idea of maybe a grid. If you think about sort of any basic grid-based layout in a city, and playing with that. If you go back to our, and I'll send this PDF to you, but if you go back to the number 6 version that you liked, that was the sort of the technical twigs with the leaves on them, that might be interesting to sort of explore, you know, a grid as, again, interconnecting layers and sort of see you bringing people closer together, but also interesting as a mark unto itself that isn't easily identifiable.
Yeah. So I love the aesthetic of the bridge mark you came up with, but in terms of content and the theme you're talking about, I really like what you just said, Cameron. I think something that is more technological, grid-like, that showcases the idea of connections in maybe a less metaphorical way than the bridge does, in a more technical way. So like a citywide grid, or a network of nodes, whatever it is. Yeah, I think that could be cool. But I do love the aesthetic of the first one, so don't feel the need to depart too much from that aesthetic. I like.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's
on a button, something that could be in the footer as a monomark, etc. So.
Cool. Yeah, I think we can absolutely marry those two concepts together.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay.
A marriage it shall be.
A marriage it shall be. So like I said, we're going to just start, I think, probably throwing things over the fence to you as we have them, just to get your directional feedback and hopefully sort of get this buttoned up and extend it out across all the work we're doing within the next week or so, if that makes sense.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Awesome. That's wonderful news. In terms of dev, I am actually blocked right now by Justin on just one stupid tiny little thing, but I want to make sure that it's done right, because if I build on top of it and then I screw it up, I'm going to have to go back and do everything.
What do you need from him?
What's that?
What do you need from him?
It's the installation of a Ruby-specific gem to facilitate that masonry layout. The way that I was going to do, apparently there's like a better Ruby-specific way to do it than I was going to do it. I want to make sure, again, that it's done right. So I should actually have that layout coded. He and I have been talking throughout the day.
Okay, cool.
I should have that coded and out to you by the end of the day.
Sweet.
For you to review. So we're still making progress there. I know you haven't seen commits yet, but we are moving. The next thing that I'd like to focus on, in addition to the brand, is to, if I put that PDF up there. I mean, I think for the most part, if you continue to be okay with that basic card-based layout for the Explore page, then otherwise silence equals consent with everybody else, and sort of move into the opportunity, sort of the profile, or I'm sorry, not the opportunity, sort of the organization profile page as the next layout to really break into. And so I think
that one should be fairly simple.
Yeah, I mean the trickiest one is the Explore page in a lot of respects. But I think we have enough of an understanding of what that needs to do at a basic level that we can actually, rather than live cycle, we can probably put together some thought for you. And again, just throw it over the fence in the same way, and we can cycle throughout the week there. And then if we need to get together next Friday and actually move pixels in person, we can totally do that, but I think we can probably go faster.
Yeah, it seems like that page and the actual page for the opportunities themselves should be pretty simple, static page templates to pull off.
Yep.
Just like, here's information in boxes.
So the only thing that, so again, I'll continue working with Justin to get that gem thing sorted out. The only other thing that I want to drive towards, and I think will probably make your life easier, because we all work for something, is getting that seed data actually up in the system, so we're looking at sort of real-ish data as we continue to build that stuff out, and that's something that I'll ping Matthew on today, just to see if I can't meet him in the middle to get that actually integrated, so I'm not just doing static stuff and then having to go back and insert variables after the fact.
Yeah, so I think I mean, in terms of seed data actually being in the system, I'm pretty sure that Justin did that. He committed some data. But yeah, in terms of actually wrapping up the API endpoints so that you can start them in your code, that would be more Matthew. Which were you thinking about?
I mean, I think probably just as you begin to demonstrate this out, sort of within this routes fund, as we sort of move forward with what the thing wants to be, just having that data in place, I think specifically for the Explore page, but then as we build out the opportunity for the organization page, if I could use sort of real values there, or real-ish values there, that'll be hugely helpful.
Right. So you're looking for the AngularJS values, the data binding stuff from Matthew.
Yeah, variables within brackets. I don't know if he's documented that yet. I apologize if I missed it.
No, he hasn't. I was just saying that there is seed data. It just hasn't been referenced yet.
Yeah. Yep, so we just need to sort of connect A to B to C.
Cool. Yeah, I know that he also got sick. I think he had the stomach flu that you had. So
You're having a tough time with this, man.
we're all just like, ugh, it's rough. But yeah, let me see. I think it's issue 65. He's working on it.
Great.
And he has it pretty close. I bet, knowing his trends, he'll probably put in a bunch of time over the weekends.
Okay.
So if you're doing any work this weekend, it might make sense to try and connect with him, even one-on-one, just to see where he's at.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll ping him and just sort of ask for a quick update and just let him know that I'm available if it's faster.
Cool, yeah. So, yeah, I think issue 65, reference API endpoints from JavaScript, is where he's at.
Fantastic.
It's on the Sprint 2. It's his only issue on Sprint 2.
Great.
I have 3 issues that I haven't done anything on because I've been so sick.
I thought you cared about this project.
I know, right? Gosh. I care too much. Cool.
So that's a quick update of where we are. Is there anything beyond, in terms of looking at sort of next week's stuff, anything we can do specifically to make your life easier?
Last question was, so the code that you're building up, is that going to be on the Heroku app that we have? Or is it going to be somewhere else?
Yeah, that's going to be on Heroku, so I can push that out to the CodeShip deploy branch at any point.
Sweet.
So you can access that. That's not staying local.
Great. So we'll be able to tinker with it at learnpgh.heroku app.
Oop, I'm sorry, you broke up just a little bit. Can you say that again?
So we'll be able to tinker with it on the Heroku app domain that we have.
Yes, correct.
Cool. That's great.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, not too much else. I think, yeah, just keep making beautiful design things happen. Yeah, I think next week is definitely finish up all the static pages for the different templates. I mean, there's 3, depending on how much time you have. Obviously, we need the opportunities page, the organization page, but then we also talked about a topic page, which I think all 3 of those will look very similar. So it might even make sense to work on all of them kind of at the same time.
Yeah, so I mean, the big thing with the topic, I think with the topics we can leverage some version of the Explore, like the card-based Explore page, right? Like any kind of overview or search-based layout can be functionally what we have now, just recontextualized, right? So that it's this topic or this search term or whatever else. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel there, if you agree.
Yeah, I had. I said I would drop a rough wireframe on the idea. I didn't do that yet, but I did make a list on the issue for topic page layouts.
Okay.
That, the way that I was thinking of them was kind of as like a meta meetup page. So like if you live in Pittsburgh and you want to learn about code, you go to the topic page and it's got not only a feed of the learning events per the Explore page, just narrowed in, but it also has some other resources. So like, here are the top 10 people in Pittsburgh to follow on Twitter who know a lot of stuff in this community. Here's the hashtag that this learning community chats on in Pittsburgh. Here are other learning communities that you could join, so like pointing people to meetup groups or reading groups or other learning communities that meet in person.
Sure.
Et cetera, et cetera. So I was thinking of some other content types that would be on those pages, just to kind of make the topic pages more robust than just being a narrowed view of the Explore page, because it doesn't make sense necessarily for them to have their own page if they're just filtered Explore page.
Sure. That makes a ton of sense. I mean, the only question there, we don't have to have an answer today. The only question there is if I in Chattanooga want to make an instance of this for all my senior learning opportunities, who is going to sort of administer the content on those topic pages? Because that could potentially be a big kind of curatorial effort there.
Yeah, and I've thought about that. I think we talked about this a little bit originally whenever I was hashing out the vision for this. But so the plan here in Pittsburgh is that we have plans to identify like lead curators for the different pages, and or like will just be doing a lot of the work. But it shouldn't be too much work. It's like, creating a hashtag, curating a short list of great people to follow on Twitter, and curating a short list of like learning communities to go and check out.
Right. Yeah. So I think the way
not too much.
The way I'd want to maybe approach that there, if only because we as a group don't necessarily have the authority like to determine who to follow in Chattanooga, we might want to think about that in terms of sort of a more of a widget-based or a module-based thinking, right? Where this is maybe like a feature I can turn on or off, depending. And so if I just don't have the bandwidth to sort of figure out who to work with on Twitter, that's just it's not essential to the page layout. I can just toggle it off for the time being, and the page can still stand. If I want to get involved in a specific topic or find somebody who is like the go-to for that topic and they want to get in there, then let's turn it all on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll write that as a note on the issue.
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet. Okay. So I think otherwise, again, we have enough to keep cranking on both brand and layouts. You'll start to see, actual code up in Heroku, tonight and through the weekend. And we'll be in touch throughout the week now that everybody's sort of off of their respective deathbeds.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm hoping by next week to have the Explore page and all of the things that it links to, so organizations and opportunities being visible and functional with real data. And then after that, we can move to the actual login accounts for learners and organizers.
Cool. So I think it's pretty. The bones are there now that I can connect just about everything I would need to connect, so that somebody can theoretically click through and get a sense of what goes where. The only things that would be no, I think I can actually do that now, and so that even if something isn't necessarily fully styled, people can begin to sort of use it as they all would if it were, up and out in the world.
Yeah. So. One other question.
Yeah.
I had given Matthew this issue related to creating a platform variables file. Did you see this?
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that you had clarity on what that entailed, and we're making sure to follow it when creating CSS and stuff, so that they reference these global variables and are easy to change out in this config file.
Yeah. So I think for right now, what I end up doing when I build, we're going to be using SCSS or Sass as our preprocessor of choice there, and any time we do that, we end up making sort of a variable file within that anyway.
Cool.
And so I was just going to use that as a foundation, and then anything else that pops up that makes sense, we can totally extend or not to the config file, as the case may be.
Okay, so right now, then, we'll have this config file plus a global Sass file?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, at a certain point, we need to actually put the variables to work.
Yeah.
If Matthew has a sort of a more articulate way to do that, we can totally do that. That's just a conversation he and I need to have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just want to make sure you're in on that.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I would say would be, as you're starting to make some of these key decisions about like these global variables and preprocessors, et cetera, to start documenting them just a little bit on the docs page.
Yep, totally.
just thinking about the Cameron in Chattanooga and him setting this up.
Yeah.
What would be helpful? And there's not too many categories yet on the docs page, so feel free to create a new one if necessary.
Okay.
I haven't really thought through what the architecture of that page should look like because we don't have much content.
We don't really know until we know, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, feel free to hack on that and build another page.
Sweet.
The only last thing would be our trip to Chicago.
Yeah.
If you're able to join.
Yeah. So let me pull up your email. So just to make sure that I understand. So the goal for that would be to sort of dive into the ModX platform that they have that already exists. See what we can't fix in the context of a day or 2 days, and sort of see what we can't prep for a launch in May-ish.
Yeah, basically. So, we're working on our side project, which is the City as a Campus thing, which hopefully is going to be way better than City of Learning, and will meet a lot more use cases. But in the meantime, we're also still part of this national campaign for City of Learning, and we need to use it starting next month. We need to fully participate with them. So, we have a little bit of work cut out for us to take what they've built and make it actually work well and be presentable for use here in Pittsburgh. So yeah, they invited us out to Chicago to kind of have like a 2-day hackathon.
Sweet.
So there will be some folks from Dallas coming as well. I think that Chad has also signed up to join us. So Cameron, if you're interested, it would be me, you, and Chad for all expenses paid work trip to Chicago. But yeah, it's digging into ModX and the platform that they've built and just trying to clean it up and make it good and figure out how we use it well here in Pittsburgh. So.
Okay. Cool. So I'm looking at dates right now. So it looks like the first one is, I guess it looks like the Thursday and the Friday for each of the next 3 weeks, right?
I think so. So I'm looking at it now. It's not, no, it's not Thursday and Friday for all the weeks.
I can't.
It's a bunch of different days.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's a Wednesday, Thursday.
Here, I'll send you,
and then
in the Gitter chat, I'll send you a link to the doodle poll.
Okay.
But ideally, everyone is available on the week. It is Wednesday and Thursday, 4/22 and 4/23.
Gotcha.
Those are now that the Dallas people have shared their dates, and Chad told me his availables, that's the ideal time.
Okay.
And if you could only come for 1 day, that would be fine. If you can only come on the 22nd. But like I said, we can pay you for the whole thing. And if you want to hang out in Chicago or whatever, you're welcome to stay longer and set your own travel days and all that.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So let me sort of dive into my calendar and see what makes the most sense there. See if I can't make those dates work. Only other thing to reference there would be, again, and totally understand sort of budgets are budgets and it's nothing personal, but if there is the bandwidth for both Chelsea and I to go for a day, I think, again, having her insight there will be sort of make everybody around us better, certainly make me better. But again, totally understand sort of, again, we all work for somebody.
Yeah.
So let me check our schedules and see what we can get locked down. But otherwise, sounds like a bunch of fun.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be cool. So yeah, especially look at 4/22, 4/23 in the doodle poll there, and yeah, let me know. Hopefully by end of day if you can.
Okay.
And I'll start procuring the monies to take us there. And let me know what your preferred travel is as well, because if you want to, fly the morning of, and get there right on time, or do you want to fly separately, 2 days before, and see your friends, or do you want to take the night train? Whatever is your preference. Just so we can know, if we should travel together or separate.
Sure.
Both going there and coming back.
Okay. That sounds great. I think the only other thing that we would need in advance of that would be if it's possible to get access to the current or sort of a current installation of ModX and how they're used, so we can sort of familiarize ourselves in advance.
Yeah, I'll give you a login for that right now.
Sweet. Well, thanks, dude.
Thank you.
All right, I will talk to you soon. Hope you continue to stay on the mend.
All right, thanks. Bye,
All right.
Chelsea. Bye, Cameron.